A viewer wants to know my thoughts on opt-in versus opt-out email marketing. I have thoughts, and this episode might be a little controversial, but we're going to go through it, and I'm going to give you some tips for the transition if you're going from one to the other. That's all ahead in this episode of the Library Marketing Show. Hi, everyone. I'm Angela Hursh from superlibrarymarketing.com. Head on over there and look for the Library Marketing Show tab so that you can ask a question that I'll answer in a future episode or nominate your library or another library for kudos. But before we get into email marketing, I want to start with kudos. And our kudos today is going to the Public Library of Youngstown and Mahoning County. I'm going to put a link to this down below and a picture right here. This caught my eye because they're giving away yard signs that support the library. And most of the time, I see libraries do this when they have a levy or for summer reading or some other thing that's happening. And that may be the case here, but it appears from this post that they're just giving this away because the weather is getting better and they want to make it easy for community members to show their support publicly for the library. I think that's a great idea. If you have the budget for this, social proof is a thing, and it will be a way to do word of mouth marketing without ever having to say a word. So I love this idea. Great job, Public Library of Youngstown and Mahoning County. All right, today we are tackling a great question that we got from a viewer about moving from opt-in to opt-out email practices, what it means, which one could be better, and how to thoughtfully move your patrons through this change. Opt-in emailing means that people have explicitly agreed to receive your emails. They signed up knowing that they're joining your list and they know what you're going to be sending them. Opt-out means that your patrons are added to your email list by default, and then they can choose to unsubscribe later. I confess I used to be a huge fan of opt-out email marketing. I have changed my mind, however, and here is why. A couple of years ago, actually a year and a half ago, Gmail, Outlook, and Yahoo, and a bunch of other email providers talked about how they were going to judge whether emails get into your inbox or whether they go to the spam folder based on your sender reputation. Now, you may wonder what that has to do with libraries. We have a great reputation, right? The email providers don't take into account that the email is coming from a library. What they're looking for is signs that people want to receive your emails. And if you're sending opt-out email marketing, you are more likely to have people unsubscribe or mark you as spam, which can impact your sender reputation. So because permission-based or opt-in emailing is recommended, some of you are going to have to do a transition. Here are some tips to help you through that and help your patrons through that. The first thing, of course, you're going to do is communicate this ahead of time and clearly with your patrons. Let them know you're making this change because you want to better respect their inbox and give them a clear link to allow them to sign up for your emails under the new opt-in system. And one thing to remember is before you give them a link to opt in, you might want to think about segmenting your list. So you may have people who are interested in finding out information about tech things at your library or things for children or fiction for adults. You can create an opt-in page with target lists that you have segmented ahead of time, and you can let people pick which groups they want to belong to. On that opt-in page, you also want to set expectations. So you want to give them a little information about what each list will include and how often you'll be sending emails to each list. And it is the law that you have to make sure that you have a clear place for people to unsubscribe. People's lives change, and so they may sign up for information about kids programs, and then in a couple of years, they might not need that anymore. You have to make sure, even in an opt-in situation, that you allow them a way to unsubscribe or change their subscription preferences. So it's a little bit of work to do the transition, but I think it's really worth it for your email deliverability and because you can do more targeted messaging, which means your messages are going to be more effective. So that's my take on email, opt-in versus opt-out. This is sometimes a very controversial topic, and I am interested in folks talking about their thoughts on opt-in or opt-out. Let's get a conversation started down in the comments. And that is it for this week's episode of the Library Marketing Show. But my channel is full of other tips for library marketing. If you are interested in learning more, head to this next video. I'll meet you there.